I want to hear about, apparently you had a Halloween activity
Yes.
that went really interestingly.
Yes. So Halloween activity, I got it from, oh man, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, they put just their face on a worksheet and then like space for the kids to be able to dress up their teacher in what they should be for Halloween. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've seen
it,
elementary teachers do that all the
yeah.
time,
And
and
so
it's
it's
always
like,
adorable.
okay, elementary school teachers, they can do it. Let's see what happens when we do it with some middle schoolers. And so I handed out the papers and they kind of looked at me and I was like, no, trust me, this is going to be fun, but only if you like make it fun, right? Don't be lame
Right.
and feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. So I'm just going to like, whatever. Right. And so
Yeah.
I pass out the papers and they were like, okay, I think I got it. I think I got it. Then they started to really get into it. And then there was a moment where I was sitting at the front of the classroom, doing some grading, and there's this kid in the back of the classroom, like back in the corner, and he's just like tears in his eyes, laughing, like drawing something, and he's just
It's
like
such a red flag.
losing his crap. He's just like, oh my gosh, this is so funny, so funny. And I was like, I was expecting something. Like I did a disclaimer too before. I was like, hey, no rocket ships, okay, no
Right.
wieners, like
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
don't, right? You don't need to
Yeah.
go
Just
there.
be cool, guys.
Just be
Yeah.
cool, right? And I walk over and he had drawn me like this buff body. And I was like, why is that so funny? And then I look and he was putting the tiniest little nipple on each of the pegs. And he just thought it was the funniest thing. And I could not contain myself because his joy that he was finding in that moment brought me so much joy. And we laughed and I put it up on the board. I was like, what do you guys think about this kid's nipple, right? And just,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was
So good.
fantastic.
And it was you,
It
right?
was
So
me. It was me.
what was he dressing you up
Just
as
like
for Halloween?
a buff person, I guess. I
A
don't know.
buff guy with tiny nipples?
With tiny nipples.
Did he give you like some pants or shorts or
You know
anything like
what? I
that?
don't remember. All I get, my
The
eyes.
nipples stole the show.
That's it. That's all I could focus on.
Wow. What a gem. Now, so when you first started teaching, it kind of sounds like you did a transition to teaching program, or did
Yes.
you? Okay. So
Yeah,
was your first like year teaching like first time in the classroom then?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it
Oh
was.
my
They gave me
gosh.
man, it's wild, but in Arizona, if you have your undergrad, you can teach full time, get paid full time benefits, like all that stuff, as long as you're enrolled in a teacher preparation program. So that can either come through like a community college or a master's degree program. So that's why I started my master's.
Okay.
But first day of school on my first year was the first time stepping foot into a classroom. And I had a 34 kid caseload. Had never written an IEP before. Thank goodness. Like my assistant principal, or dean of students, his whole background's in special education. So like he sat with me for hours. Like, this is how you write an IEP. This is what I would do in this scenario. Like so thankfully I had that person. And I know it's a big thing
Yeah.
that you focus on, but like I had that person. If I didn't, 34 kid caseload, never having written an IEP before, I would have melted. I probably would have been done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first experience in the classroom was that.
So, very similar to you. I also was like kind of had a career before and
Okay.
then transitioned using an emergency teaching license. So my
I
first day in
didn't
the
know
classroom
that.
was also,
That's
a
awesome.
T2T program. So I know that level of like panicked optimism and
Dude.
chaos. So I am sure, because I certainly do, I'm sure you have some stories of chaos from that first year. Can you think of any that you want to share?
Oh my gosh. Chaos. Well, man, aside from the fact that I had my first year teaching, I had a 22 kid resource room.
Oh
So
my
just
gosh.
spanning all 3 grade levels. That was daily chaos.
Can you, for people who maybe are less familiar with
Yes.
what that is, can you real quick share what a resource room is?
Yeah, so a resource room, and they're run a little bit differently depending on where you go. Our resource rooms are focused on the most essential grade level standards. So like
in my resource class, like my sixth graders, this year I have just sixth graders, they only get the most important 6 math standards. And we take 4 or 5 weeks to fill in some like below grade level skills, some prerequisite skills that they need for that specific standard. So, but it's a special education classroom. Every kid in the room has an IEP for something. Yeah, so that's what it is. So my first resource room was 22 kids, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, completely different math curriculum from especially 6th and 7th to 8th. Like it's like, I just gonna go for it, I guess.
Yeah. And for those of you guys who don't know, so like an IEP, individualized education plan, that is the specific students required by law educational accommodations. So that means that there might be something that says preferential seating. And that means you have to usually sit the kid, up close to the teacher, and you need to have written notes, and you need to, there's usually, I don't know, 5-ish accommodations for each student. So you had how many kids?
22.
So somewhere around north of 100 accommodations.
That's some
he
good
would
math,
have to be.
Andrea.
Thank you.
You are good at math.
Thank you so. Oh my God. I'm gonna start crying. Thank you so much. I notice how I said north of 100. I didn't, because I was like, wait, 22 times 5, that's 110, right? But I was like, don't take the chance. Don't do math on the spot. It's not a good look. But like, that's an insane amount of accommodations to be thinking about at all times. Like,
the biggest benefit of that class was I got very good at universally accommodating, right? And so it's a skill that, while it was very difficult to figure out, like, I'm not going to lie, it was very challenging because even like the math levels, some kids were at a 3rd grade level, some kids were at a 5th grade level. Like the range was wide. But figuring out how to do notes in a way that every kid could participate. And like, there was just a lot of really good things that I learned about how to universally accommodate and how I can take into like a gen ed setting that is really beneficial for all students, honestly.
Yeah. So it ended up being a good thing, but I can like in my soul, I can feel the panic of like, I have how many, and you just get that stack of IEPs at the beginning of the year with all the accommodations, and it being your first year where you're just learning about IEPs, like brutal. Thank you so much for watching. Want more of those who can't do in your life? Well, you can watch the full episode right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? Right down there? There it is. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.